Hi. Since we made the videos on producing jackets from copper strip using the set shown here in the pictures, we've been hammered with quite a few questions. Apparently my descriptions didn't clear up all the confusion that can go along with these jackets, and I was asked if I could make a short video giving you a few details, a few particulars of what these die sets do. If you've seen our ads on eBay, if you've gone to a website, you'll see that we list these sets with disc cutters for 5/8 material and 1-inch material, and we most often refer to these sets as 22 or 45. And this has led to confusion. This has led to people thinking that's all they make, that this die set will only do 22 caliber bullets, or the 45 set will only give you a 45 caliber jacket. This isn't true. These sets are far more versatile. What I should explain, we make a cutter in 5/8, we make another cutter for 1-inch copper, and respectively, when you run them through the cupping die, you'll get either a 40 caliber cup out of the 5/8 or a 60 caliber cup out of the 1-inch. Copper strip is available in widths from well under 1/2 of an inch to well over 12 inches wide. The reason we chose 5/8 and 1-inch is they're probably the most common widths available, and they're available in small quantities, often as small as 5-pound rolls for the home hobbyist. Where if you jump up to say 1.25 inch, 1.5 inch, 2-inch wide material, a lot of times you're only going to find that in industrial rolls of 100 pounds or more, and it just gets a little bit pricey. But they are available. We want to make it clear you can buy these in any size and shape. Another thing to consider, this 1-inch strip or the 5/8, this is 32 thousandths material. You can get this 1-inch strip up to 125 thousandths. And the size of a jacket is strictly based on the volume of material. You know, if you take these little discs are 32 thousandths, if you jumped up to 40 thousandths of an inch or 48 thousandths of an inch, the 65 thousandths of an inch, you're adding a tremendous amount of volume. And when you draw that initial 40 caliber cup out, it's going to be proportionally longer and give you more jackets. That's part of the versatility of this set. Another piece of confusion centered around the die inserts. Because we sold this set as a 22 caliber set, because we showed the video making 22 caliber where we took the jackets from 40 to 30 to 22, people assume that's all this will do. Well, when we make our inserts, when we make them for any of these die sets, we try to make the incremental stops exactly what they need to be for a bullet jacket. So when we go from 40 to 30, that 30 caliber hole is correct for a 30 caliber jacket. When you go from 30 to 28, it's correct for a 7mm. When you go 28 to 27, 270, 25, 257, right down the line. Doesn't make any sense to make these increments a bastard size that isn't useful. We might as well make them as we go so they fit a specific caliber. Excuse me. People have asked, will this 22 set make other caliber jackets? As it sits, it's like, of course it will. With the 32 thousandths material, you can see right here, get these in my hand for you, you've got the 30 caliber jacket, if you can see that in there, and there is a 100 grain 32 and 110 grain 30 in that picture. When you look at these, you'll see that jacket, as it comes out of this die set, is very nearly long enough. If you put a proper size core in there to create a 100 grain bullet and drew it out, it's going to be very, very similar once it draws out to this bullet. You can make this jacket longer That jacket has a sidewall right now, as it comes off the die set, of about 24 thousandths of an inch. That's far heavier than it needs to be for a light rifle varmint bullet or a pistol bullet in this case. You can thin that jacket down. You could cut that dimension in half and it's more than heavy enough. In order to do that, you would still use your same 30 caliber insert that comes with your set. What we would need to do is simply make you an extra punch. A punch a little bit bigger around, so that when it draws that jacket down from the previous step, it draws it out longer, thinner, giving you, say, a 12 or 14 thousandth sidewall, and you're going to have a jacket 25% longer than that, more than long enough to trim, probably long enough to get around a 125 grain bullet. Same thing in 25 caliber. There's a 25 caliber step in this. When you draw that 30 caliber down to 25, it has a sidewall of around 24 thousandths, and the overall length is a bit under half an inch. We can thin that. We could make you another punch, a little bit bigger around, extra holder to go with it, and when you made that jump from 30 to 25, it would draw the sidewall down to, say, 12 or 14 thousandths, and that will get that jacket long enough to make a fairly useful 75 grain 25 caliber bullet. It's really, really close. In fact, if you wanted thinner sidewalls, the 22 set, as it comes, these sidewalls on there are about 14 thousandths. You could conceivably go down to about 10 thousandths, and it would draw that out long enough you could get a bullet jacket of about 0.810, 810 thousandths long. And 10,000 sidewall is still plenty heavy to take virtually any velocity, any rotational torque. If you measure a commercial J4 from Berger, you're going to find that the mouth on them is usually as thin as about 8 thousandths, even 6 thousandths, and the sidewall at the base is around 12. Depends on exactly which jacket. I've got a batch of them right here where the base of the sidewall is 10 thousandths of an inch. It's plenty deep for integrity. Far deeper, far thicker sidewall than what you deal with when you make, say, rimfire jackets, which are really quite thin. They're rarely over 6 thousandths thick. Now, switching away from the 22 set for a minute, going to the 45 set, as we refer to it, or the 1-inch cutter set. Like I said, you got commercial 1-inch material, you cut a disc out of it just under 1 inch in diameter, and you get a 60 caliber cup. I've had people are confused a little bit about what those mean. I make the basic set to get you 60, 50, 45, and then you trim it at 45. If you were a 40 caliber shooter or a 9mm shooter, we would gladly add we only have to add a couple of inserts to your set to get you 9 to 9mm, and then your pinch trim die, we can make 9mm instead of 45. Just exchange the two. There's no extra cost involved for us. To add a couple of inserts isn't a big deal, and all that happens is the diameter of the punch changes. You could buy a 45 caliber set, go from 60 to 50 to 45. You can go right down the line. 44, 40. This is off a 45. All these jackets you're seeing right here are off 45 set. There's a draw right there to 44. It's already cut and trimmed. This is a 40 caliber. You can see, how it's drawn out a little on one side. It's getting those ears we talked about in the video. That 40 right there is ready to trim to length to make any 40 caliber or 41 caliber pistol bullet. This is a 338. This is just as it comes. It's got about I believe these have a 25,000 sidewall on them right here, and they'll trim out at 1.1 inches. That'll get you 200, 210 grain 338s really comfortably. You could add an extra draw die, make an extra step, and draw the sidewall on this jacket down from the 24 thousandths down to about 14 or 15 thousandths, and you're going to draw it out long enough to make a bullet up to about 260, 270 grains. The jacket's going to be thin. It's not going to be an ideal jacket for a hunting bullet, even with bonding on it, but it'll make an excellent target bullet. You could also buy this material thicker, draw a slightly heavier cup, and when you draw this, you would get a jacket quite a bit longer. Still retain the 24 to 30 thousandth sidewall, and you'd have an excellent hunting bullet. This shows you 30. This is a 30 caliber jacket off this same set. Look at the increase. We thinned the sidewalls down from 24 thousandths to 20 thousandths when we made this. This was the 30 cal. These are actually set up for a customer who wanted target bullets. These are long. These will get him a 220 grain 30 with no issues whatsoever. Here we've jumped down. I believe this is a raw 30, untrimmed. And here we've taken it down to 7mm. This shows you just how much volume is in one of these sets. I mean, that, you know, nobody needs a 7mm jacket that long. This is plenty ready to trim off right in that area. But it shows you just how much you've got to work with. And here we've got a sidewall of about 14 thousandths. If we made our punch at 7mm bullets were your interest, and you wanted a 32 thousandth sidewall to make a bonded game bullet, we'd make that punch so this drew to 32 thousandths, in which case the jacket would be almost exactly the right length to trim and go for 160, 170 grain bullets. These can be taken all the way down to any caliber you want. There's also an overlap here. We have sold the 22 set to guys starting out, wanting to get into jacket making. Once you've got this set, if later on you add a 1-inch cutter and a cupping die, and say you build a 45 caliber jacket, you would need to go from 45 to 44, 44 to 40. At that point, this 40 caliber is just the same as that 40 caliber cup right there. If you already had the 22 caliber die set, you could then continue on making your incremental decreases on your existing set. You wouldn't have to buy a whole set of draws for your 45 set to go down to 22 if you already had the 22 set. There's a great deal of overlap here. Essentially, this is one of the most versatile tools you can put in your bullet swedging operation. It just, once you've got a basic 1-inch cutter and or a basic 5/8 inch cutter, you can make almost any jacket that you want, any wall thickness. It's just a matter of varying the materials, varying the techniques a little, and you may have to add a specialized punch or two, a specialized holder or two to fill in a gap, fill in an increment. I hope this clears up a few of the confusions. I'm sure there'll be more. There's a lot of details that go into these. Feel free to email us. Feel free to message us. Ask away with anything you got. There's virtually nothing you can't do with these, and most of what you do is quite a bit simpler than people think. Thank you.